Okay, so we're moving into the home stretch on this build. This is the final step. Now, the previous video, we got the nacelles all set. We got them wired, soldered, glued, sealed. Well, not sealed yet, not with the clear coat. But we're moving on to step 24, and this is what the model instructions had called for. Cement the main tractor beam emitter in the bottom of the ship as shown. Carefully mask and tape a plastic bag around the display base. Your model is now ready to be painted. If handled carefully, the wrapped display base can be used to hold the model as it is being painted. And what they had suggested was you leave all the filaments sticking out, you mask the areas, you paint the ship, you remove the masks, and then you cut down to the surface. But we had done that as we went along. So we have, as of right now, we've got all the decals on. We've got the primary hull and the secondary hull clear coated. The nacelles are not clear coated yet. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go through and I'm going to start picking at the little details that we need to finish the model. So we're going to plastic putty some of the cracks, check for light leaks, and paint touch-ups. And we're going to give a clear coat to the nacelles. Because remember, they haven't been clear coated yet. The rest of the ship has, but the nacelles have not. So once all of that is done, I'll give a coat to the nacelles first, and when that's dry, we can put a final coat over the whole model, and she'll be done. So, like I said, what I'm going to do now is we'll go ahead and we're going to start filling in some of the cracks. I'm going to use the plastic putty. We can let that dry. I'll clean it up and we'll paint. Okay, so I took the clamp off because I had to re-glue the nacelle to close that gap a little bit. And I did some work with the putty. You can see I blocked off all the light leak areas and some of the separations, the cracks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clean it all off. And I'll show you what it looks like when we're ready to touch up the paint. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll clean off this and get it ready. All right, I think we're ready. We'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll touch up the paint areas, and then it'll be good to go. All right, I think what I'm going to start to touch up first is the little areas along the primary hull. When we did the halves and I painted the inside, I did it reflective, and I figured I could do the sides. I didn't take into account that you would be able to see on the inside of the saucer section, or the primary hull. And you can see that it looks a little uneven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch it up. That way there, it will be even. There we go. I think that pretty much touches up all the little areas. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give the paint time to dry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a coat of clear coat on the nacelles. And then what we'll do is, once that is dry, we'll do the whole ship one last time. Okay, so I had some time to dry, and what I want to do now is we want to check, make sure all the light leaks are gone. So why don't we go ahead and we'll hook her up, and we'll put the lights on, we'll put the lights out, and we'll light her up. All right, let's go ahead and we'll put the lights out. Let's see what we got. Looking pretty good. The lack of the light leaks. Let's turn her around. So, you guys can see, the light leaks are all fixed. So tomorrow we can go ahead and we can put a coat of the clear coat on the nacelles. And she looks good at night. Okay, so now we're ready to put the clear coat onto the nacelles. And we're going to use the paint gun. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let this dry nice and well, and then we're going to put a clear coat over the whole entire ship. And when we're ready to do that, I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I had some time to dry. You can see it's all sealed. The decals are all sealed in. It's got that nice shine. I like the shiny clear coat. It may not be totally accurate, but if you do look at the TV series, you can see there's a glossy shine on the Enterprise as she's going through space. So this is all set. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put one coat over the whole thing to kind of seal the whole model, and we're going to finish it off that way. There we go. Everything is nice and clear coated. And don't look now, but that's everything. What I'm going to do is we're going to wait for it to dry a little bit. I'll put the fan back on. And when it's dry, it's basically finished. And I'll show you guys what it looks like. We'll plug it in. We'll light her up. And just to go over some of the instructions with you guys, because there were a lot of instructions in this kit. I think what I'm going to do, I have a playlist of all model kit instructions, Star Trek related. And I think what I'm going to do is, this is going to be no exception. I'll put up the complete instructions for this model kit. You guys remember, going back to the beginning, there was 3 sheets of the instructions, and we started all the way back to the formation of the battery pack, the power pack. We made the drill. We worked on the stand, the base. We ended up spraying the inside for light blocking and some good reflective paint. We went on and we did the secondary hull. We did, you could see, you guys remember, we channeled out and ran the wires, and then we put the cup in to house the light, and then we wired the bottom of the base, and then we soldered everything in a secondary hull, and we tried it out for the first time. Step 8, we worked on the bottom of the primary hull. Remember, we put the captain's yacht in and we painted everything. Step 9, we got all the fiber optic cables ready, measured them out, and cut it. And then in step 10, we did the dorsal hull, or the saucer pylon. We put in the shuttle bays. We drilled out the holes, and we put filament in for the first time. And then step 11, we finished off the primary hull. We ran all the cables, we tested it out, all the windows were lit. And that brought us on to the next section of the instruction sheet. Let's see. So we went to step 12, and we started the top of the secondary hull, and we attached the dorsal hull, we ran the wire, and we glued it into place. We added the fiber optic cables to the light cup. And then we went on to work on the bottom of the primary hull. We wired it through. We made the cup. We brought the wires for the feed. We brought the light in. Then we had gone on and we had put the windows in, step 15. Step 16, we did the bridge. Step 17, we ran the filaments through and ran everything down through the primary hull top. And we wired it into the cup. We got all the filaments together, and we were able to light the primary hull or saucer section. So moving on, we went on to step 19. We did the shuttle bay doors. Now we had already done that as we did the dorsal hull. Step 20, we put the foil, the reflective foil, into the nacelles. And we drilled the nacelles and we attached the bottoms. Then we went on to step 21, where we actually did the soldering of the lights onto the frame to get ready to put in the bottom of the nacelles. And that's what we did. We soldered everything into place and then we tested them. It came out nice. And we did it for both the port and starboard nacelles. And then the last part, 24, they had wanted you to mask off the ship and paint the whole thing, but we did it as we went along. So that was that sheet of instructions, and they also gave a sheet that showed all of the decal placement. Showing you guys the top of the ship, decal application, and the colors if you had wanted to do the Aztecing. And on the back of this, it's got the wiring diagram to show you guys how it was going to be wired. You can see this whole thing was, the nacelles took up the most light bulbs because the whole thing is really just powered by 2 bulbs. We did extras for ours. We ran off the feed and we ran lights to the impulse engines in our model. You can see the jack at the bottom. The feed's going to come in. It's going to light the first light that's in the cup. We jumped that to the deflector hull light. The deflector hull light is what ran up through the dorsal hull and powered the primary hull light. And the wires we fed up through the nacelle pylons ended up ultimately going into the nacelles, and you can see the diagram, how we wired them. There's 6 bulbs in each one. And the underside of the ship, the decals, and the Aztecing. You see the markings on the underside. Again, we had done that as we had gone along. And also on the side of the ship, it shows the port and the starboard side, the decal placement and the colors. So that, like I said, there was a lot of instructions in this. There was three separate sheets of instructions. So this kit is pretty involved. And like I said, I had wanted to do this. You can see all the instructions. I had wanted to do this the way the kit was originally meant to be built. With 1 bulb, with going through the fiber optic strands, going through the windows. Of course, today, it would make much more sense to get one, either one like this or the clear edition. And I got a video of the clear edition coming up, where you would actually light using light strips and LEDs, and it wouldn't throw any heat. This actually gets pretty warm. You can feel the heat off the nacelles when I was working on them, so you could tell this is an older kit with the bulbs, but it would make a lot more sense to light nowadays with the LED tape in the strips. But I had wanted to do it the way they were intending you to build it in the instructions. So why don't we take it over And we'll get a place where there's a little more room. I'll bring you to the table where I show you other things, and then we can plug her in. Okay, so we have it on a table, and here is the finale of this build. I present to you the U.S.S. Enterprise NCC-1701-D. Now, I know there are a lot of mistakes on her, and one of the things that I like to, well, help you guys out is don't do the mistakes that I make. So when my models come out crappy, you can look at the video and say, geez, well, I'm not going to do that. And it'll come out better. But this is the culmination of all the work and all the steps that we had done for the instruction sheets. You can see NCC-1701-D, U.S.S. Enterprise, and the clear coat locked in the decals in place nicely. I'll show you guys the bridge area, B and C decks, going around to the shuttle bay 1 on top. You can see shuttle bays 2 and 3, and you can see the nacelles, the nacelle pylons. And you guys remembered way back in, I think it was step 2, where we worked on the stand, we actually had to put little feet on it. And one of the reasons we put little feet on it was for the cord, where we could run the cord and it wouldn't tip over or fall. So you can see we had done the power supply as well. And I'm going to make a playlist of this model kit if you guys want to go back and check out different videos from different steps. So let's go ahead. We'll flip the switch. You can see she's lighting up. You got the nacelle pylon lit up. You've got the windows on top of the saucer section. And we got the nacelles. And I ended up lighting the impulse engines on the primary hull. And they were blue, so I ended up having to paint them red. I just didn't think the blue looked right. You can see the side view, the starboard view. Bring it around. And what I'll do is to kind of put a bow on this series, I'm going to do a video on the finished model, and I think I'm going to do some sky space flight videos to really show her off. That's always fun. I had done that with my 350 scales Enterprise models, and I thought it was pretty cool, and it was fun to make. So, my friends, this concludes this build, and this is the U.S.S. Enterprise NCC-1701-D from AMT Erdl. This was released in 1996, and the way we do it nowadays, it's a lot easier to just run LED strips everywhere and really light it up. But I just wanted to show you guys what it would look like building it as per the instructions. You see the B and C decks. And I actually have the clear version that I'm going to be showing you guys soon, the model kit. I got a lot of videos that are coming up Star Trek related that my fellow Star Trek fans, I hope you're going to like. But until those times come, I thank you guys for watching as usual, and thank you so much for the support and the kind words. And this concludes this build of the U.S.S. Enterprise NCC-1701-D from Star Trek The Next Generation. I hope you had as much fun watching this series as I did making it. And until the next build, I'll see you real soon.